Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. This is Safilya from Vinsys. I see lots of nominations we have received for our webinar today, and I'm still seeing some of the participants are joining. So, without wasting time, we will start with the webinar now. So, to give you a brief insight about Vinsys, we are basically a 23 years old company. They're into corporate training and development business and served more than 3,000 corporates across the world. We have trained around 600,000 professionals on different technologies and various domains. It's something like you name the training and we are able to deliver it out. So we have Sarika Kshirsagar as our today's mentor with us. And now I would request Sarika to take a charge of this webinar and talk to you people. Thank you so much. If you have any problems, do write back to us on the chat box or just write us back on the emails. And there is a humble request from our side that please keep your microphones on mute. If there is any necessary, then you can unmute yourself and you can talk it out. But please to have a good delivery, it is necessary to have everyone on mute. Thank you so much. Sarika, you can take over.
Thank you so much, Safila. Thank you so much, Team Vinsys, for having me here this afternoon. A very good afternoon to all of you, and a warm welcome to my session on being assertive here. There were few chats in the boxes which said that I wasn't audible, but then I hadn't started speaking. Now that I have started speaking, I would just want you people to confirm it back to me if am I audible and visible to all of you. If you could just put it in the chat
Yes.
box. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yes.
Great, 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 great. Fine.
Yes.
Thanks, Archana. Thanks, Mayuri. Thanks, Mangesh. Yes, thanks, Vivek. Welcome you all. Welcome you all very warmly to this wonderful webinar on being assertive. And I am going to be the presenter for today. My name is Sarika Kshirsagar, as Safal has already mentioned. But let me add a few more things about my credentials here so that you can trust me for spending your next 1 hour of your life with me here on the Vinsys webinar. So I am a corporate certified soft skills trainer. I've been into this field since past 18 years, have trained and imparted trainings and servicing thousands of participants from leadership to management levels and also the executive levels at hundreds of corporates. And the feather in my cap has been lately, that is in the month of November, I've been awarded as a Pride of India Master Trainer in the leadership category on a national level competition that was held for us trainers. So you people are in safe hands for today, and I'm really looking forward to add some more value to your time as well as to your availability at this webinar here. So before we begin, I have a small request for you people. If you could just, I'm going to share or Safali, if you could share the link here in the chat box. It's a poll that I would want to yes, thanks, Supriya. So it's a poll that I want to conduct, and I would want you to go through that poll and please vote for that. And then we'll come back, and that is going to set our tone for the next 1 hour. So if you could have the link here, Safali, can we manage to just put it in the chat box? Yes, the link is already there in front of you. It's a poll which is hosted on LinkedIn. If you could just please attempt that poll and give your opinion out there, select the right option which you feel is correct for you, and then we'll be back with the results and take it further. So I'm going to take just a minute to do this. So if you could have your valuable votes in this poll. Over to you all, guys. Once you're done, you could just type a yes again in the chat box for us to know that you're done with the polling. Great, great. Sudarshan, Akshay, Sayantan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Milind, Archana. Great, great, great. Many of you have attempted. We'll wait for a few more to do it, and then we'll take the actual stock of the poll. Ankit, Kiran, Hiral, Vishakha, Jerry, Abhijit, Zahir. Thank you so much, guys, for your precious efforts and time here. Thanks, Amol. Thanks, Amol. Wonderful. So, Safali, can we have the results of this poll here? If we could just
Sure,
share
Sarika.
it on the screen. Yeah, if we could just share it on the screen.
Yep.
Okay, Abhijit is saying I'm not able to access it, but it's fine. Fine, it's fine, Abhijit. We can still manage with the maximum participation that's happening here. Thanks, Deva. Thanks, Ganesh. Okay, can anyone, before we proceed, those who are saying they are done, can anyone tell me what was the poll about and what was the question given in the poll? Yes, guys, if anyone can unmute. Yes, Ethan, please go ahead.
Hey, hi, good evening,
Hi.
Sarika. So the poll was was on a very common topic which we do not wanted to address it, or rather we do not realize it. Often we involve in a very uh, important discussion. Very commonly, if I'm talking about a interview round, where we have spoken things, but then we feel that we could have spoken much more, we could have highlighted much more, which we have not done, or we have not portrayed what we have done in a much better way. We have not presented it in a better way. We could have done that, but we did not do that. So this often happens, and be it not interviews, often if I'm going for a client meeting, or if you're talking in terms of your presentation in front of your peers, or if you're talking, even if you're talking about your achievements at the end of the year towards your appraisal. So that happens quite often, and sometimes, most often, we do not address it, but this is something which it need to be addressed in a proper
Right.
way.
So yes, thanks. Thanks so much for those inputs here. Now, when we come very precisely back to the poll, this was about, after finishing a difficult conversation, this could be an interview or any other difficult conversation. How many times do we feel that we should have said something more or we should have said something less? And the options that were given to you were always, often, sometimes, and never. And the maximum voting has gone for sometimes and also for often. So often it happens that, we may feel that, okay, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or I should have said something more. Maybe this happens and we didn't say it because we were more passive about it. All right. And sometimes it happens that we feel that we shouldn't have said so much. Maybe we were really aggressive about it. So in the first case, well, we were being passive. The whole idea is we needed to have more conviction on ourselves. That was the first criteria, right? So when we are on the passive side, we tend to be a bit kind of in self-doubt. So here in the first case, we would say that we need to have more self-conviction on ourselves. And the second case, when we tend to become aggressive, we need to have more conviction on the other party. Right. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm trying to bring you closer to the topic today, wherein we want to find a kind of a balance, the right balance in being between aggressive and passive, wherein we all know that the golden mean is about finding the right footing where we are able to express our beliefs, our notions, our attitudes, our feelings, our ideas, needs, and wants in a very frank and transparent manner, without any hesitation, without any kind of compulsion, without any kind of anxiety, where we are able to express ourselves in a free and frank manner. So you can ask this to yourself, how many times are you able to do it with your stakeholders? Now, these stakeholders could be your family, friends, colleagues, bosses, or for that matter, anyone else who has a stake in your life, right? So here the question is finding the balance, and why is it that difficult? So my today's whole webinar is about how can we find the right balance and try to be more and more assertive, which is the golden mean, of course, in building good, trustworthy, and long-lasting relationships, be it in our personal life or the professional life. So guys, are you ready to go with me on this roller coaster ride? I'm just going to share my PPT with you all, and you need to give me a thumbs up to let me know if this is kind of audible, sorry, if this is visible to you all. So is my screen visible to you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So here I am representing the behavioral management team of Vinsys. And I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to take you on a balanced approach of power of, assertive communication, how powerful it is to be authentic in an unapologetic way. I would want you to focus your attention on all the words that I have used here on this platter of mine. So being authentic, being genuine, being original without copying others in an unapologetic way is what we're trying to gauge in today's webinar. So the direct takeaways after attending this webinar today here for you all would be better self-awareness and personal power. So believe me, just after this 1 hour, I assure you of being, better self-aware and full of your personal power. You're able to work better together and create better win-wins in your teams, improve relationships and productivity, and cope better with negative emotions. So overall, out of the other few more, these are the four very coherent and concurrent, takeaways, which I could assure you to get at least the feel of them after this 1 hour that you spend with me. So these are the takeaways, guys. And with this, I take you to, as we all know, that these are the three different prominent styles with which we kind of communicate and behave with our stakeholders in different situations. So we already saw that when we speak away too much than required, we might be assumed to be aggressive. On the other hand, where we are really not in control of ourselves and we try to surrender ourselves to others, we tend to be more passive. And then the golden mean is about being assertive. So one thing that I would want to make very clear right at the onset is I wouldn't say that, that all styles, I would say that all styles would come with their own costs and benefits. So why would I say benefits? I would want you people to answer here. Can you tell me with example of, I'm sure that many of you might be cricket fans or you might be watching the game of cricket on television. So if I may ask you, if you could tell me, can you give me examples or can you give me the names of 3 Indian captains who would fall in this category? Now, how would you finalize these names or identify these names would be obviously on the basis of their behaviors that you have been observing on fields through the camera. So not that you have met them earlier, but you have been observing them consciously or subconsciously when they have been playing for the country. And then having been observing them, what do you think? Who would depict an aggressive style, passive style, and assertive style of captainship? So here we are speaking about the captains of Indian cricket team, the present, the past. Can you give me some examples, guys? You could just unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, Sai.
Tavish Siddiqui needs to mute. No, Ashutosh needs to mute. Yes. Okay, I already have the answers in the chat box so quickly. Virat, Rohit, and Dhoni, Akshita, they're fine, but then which category would they be in? Kiran says Virat is aggressive, MS Dhoni is assertive. Okay. I'm all again saying Virat and MS Dhoni, but which category? Ajay says Virat is aggressive and Dravid is passive. Okay, Dravid on the passive side, yeah? Okay. And then Lavkesh Pawar says Saurav Ganguly as aggressive captain, passive would be MS Dhoni, and assertive would be Virat Kohli. Okay. And then we have few more answers coming in the chat box. I just don't think that we have the time to read all of you, but thank you so much, all of you, for pitching in. Sudarshan says Sachin was passive. Sachin, the god of Indian cricket, was a passive on the passive side as a captain of the Indian cricket team. I suppose many of you might agree to this, that he didn't have a really very successful captainship stint. Rahul Dravid is a passive captain. Fine, fine, fine. Thank you so much, guys, for these inputs. With this, what I'm trying to tell you here is please understand that every style would come with its own costs and benefits. So, as we say, if we're talking about being aggressive, it does help at times when we are kind of, fighting for aggressive deadlines. We need to push our capacities and kind of really thrust ourselves onto others to get the work done. But definitely, people are not going to like you if you're being aggressive, because it's more of a kind of a dominating style when you're trying to be pushing others in the wrong manners without really being concerned about their feelings and emotions. You're trying to overpower others. And at a point of time, you could get into humiliation and insulting others as well. You could tend to be manipulative sometimes. So, overall, aggressive style, to be understood, is definitely not a win win style of communication or behavior for that matter. Passive would be the exactly opposite style, as we know that we are shy or submissive, or maybe hesitant for any other reason to express ourselves freely and frankly, to guide others, to motivate and drive others to follow your instructions into certain directions. It requires a lot. So if you are on the passive side, you might not be really very comfortable doing this. So yes, coming again to the assertive style of communication, it always has a win-win approach. That's what I believe in. And that's the reason I have been promoting aggressively on how to be assertive to achieve a win-win in our daily communication. So assertiveness, as we say, is your ability to stand for your own rights and needs and wants and desires. So you need to put your foot down and say, no, boss, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I expect. And this is what needs to be done. So you do it. You do it in a way which is full of conviction and confidence. All right. But as I said, that each style has its own plus and minus, pros and cons. You people today need to be self-aware about which is that one style which is predominant in your behavior. ओके तीनों में से ऐसा एक स्टाइल जरूर होगा जो आप प्रीडोमिनेंटली बिहेव करते हैं सो ज्यादातर आपके इंटरेक्शंस में इन योर कम्युनिकेशंस यू टेंड टू काइंड ऑफ यूज दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टाइल knowingly or unknowingly. All right, so this is something which you need to be aware of. Now, why assertiveness? One basic thing that we all need to remember is coming back to our birth. By birth, when we are born, we all are assertive. Believe me, right? That's the reason what babies do. Babies simply cry. Why do they cry? Because they want something. They can't talk. So whenever a baby cries, the mother feels, okay, the baby needs milk, or the baby needs to sleep, or the baby is getting cranky. Whatever it is, the baby just cries and tells it to the whole world without being bothered about, what people would say, right? And that's what we are born with. But gradually, as we grow up, we tend to, kind of learn certain responses from the environment that we are brought up in. This environment is definitely full of your family, friends, and your teachers and your thought leaders, maybe. As you grow, this kind of environment which you have in your office or with your bosses or your colleagues would definitely have an impact on the way you communicate, right? So in your family, during your childhood, if you've seen that your family members dealing with conflict in a very high tone, right, with kind of a high pitch, well, kind of being aggressive, fighting, bullying, or maybe accusing and blaming others for the wrongdoings, if you've been observing that, somewhere subconsciously you get to understand, okay, this is the way how you put your point forward, this is the way how you argue, this is the way how you kind of get a win for yourself. So this is something which comes to our mind when we observe others doing it, and subconsciously we tend to follow it mindlessly. It becomes a part of your personality to an extent where it gets ingrained in your behavior, and then later you feel like it's stylish to use these kind of words, this kind of tone, and this is how it works, because that's what I have seen working with my parents. So the whole idea is we are born assertive. later we get into these kind of parameters where we tend to become more and more aggressive, or maybe kind of self-centered, and then comes a time when we again come back to these levels where we need to learn how to get that golden mean, because we know that aggressive is not a healthy way of doing things. So with this, guys, okay, before I take you with me on my screen, I need to kind of know from you people if you're with me. Okay, Sunil has a question, but Sunil, uh, just let me cover a bit because we have a very limited time. I'm going to surely give you time for your questions towards the end of the webinar, because that's how we'll try and maintain the momentum throughout it. I would request all of you who have questions, please line them up, and I'm going to surely have them at the end of it. All right. So I hope this works. I'll take you quickly back to my presentation again. So we were here, and I just assume that you are able to see it. So as I said, these are three different styles. Now, what we need to remember is we need to be able to flex our styles to suit the purpose and suit the situation. So how do we flex, and when do we need to flex? So we need to identify when we need to flex our styles or change our style to suit the requirements. Whenever you feel being under stress or anxiety while expressing yourself to someone else, you need to flex. Whenever you feel guilty or worried about the future, so guilty about the past, something happened wrong in the past and something that's going to happen in the future, maybe you want to make a presentation or kind of speak or go in for an interview or attend a marriage proposal, whatever, and you're really, really worried that how am I going to express myself, that's the time you need to flex your style. Again, moving on to when you feel that life is not in your control, and you feel your self-worth being diminished by people around you. You feel that people start taking you for granted, and yeah, you feel that things are not in your control. And during this corona time, let me tell you, many of us have undergone these kind of emotions. So definitely this is the way, this is the time when we need to flex our styles. And finally, whenever you feel that your relationships have become unhealthy, toxic, or uncomfortable due to some reasons, these are the times when you need to flex your style to suit the circumstances. Now, as I said, assertiveness is a win-win style. We always need to flex our styles to suit the assertive behavior in order to gain the maximum out of it. And how can we do that? Before we learn how can we do that, let us understand what are the myths here. Okay, for assertiveness, I wouldn't really say that if I'm assertive, I'll always get what I want. No, this wouldn't happen. All right, guys, this wouldn't happen because if I'm assertive, I'm trying to put my point across, my needs and wants very clearly and vehemently, but it doesn't mean that I'll get always what I want. You can't expect that from others at the same time. Secondly, the second myth is if I'm assertive, I have to be assertive in all the situations. I would say that in maximum situations, you need to be assertive. It's not possible to be assertive in all the given situations because at times you might feel that the relationship is more important to you. You can't live without that relation, or maybe the time is not right. Timing is very important in communication. Remember, guys, so if you feel that this kind of situation could be handled better in an assertive manner, some other time, you might want to postpone being assertive, right? So depending upon the timing and the relation and the gravity of the situation, you might want to decide if you want to be assertive or no. Last but not the least, assertive, some myths where people feel that assertive is basically same as being aggressive. All right, so this is definitely a myth, and there's a lot of difference between being assertive and aggressive. Now, I'll tell you why people feel that it's almost the same. Before I tell you, if I may ask you guys, can you tell me what's the subtle line, what's the fine line between being assertive and being aggressive? Because both say the same. Even an aggressive person would say, okay, I need this, I want this, and I'm going to have this. All right. And even the assertive person says the same thing. This is it. This is what I want. This is what I need. And this is something which I'm not ashamed of. This is what. So what is the fine line, guys? What's the difference between the two? Can anyone just unmute or maybe type in? Okay, Yogendra, say the way you say it. It's the tone and the body language, Akanksha. Yes, thank you so much for this. Way of communication. Exactly. This is what we're going to see. What is the exact way of communicating in an assertive manner? Assertion means listening first. Meera says that, and that's wonderful. Assertive people need to be the most humblest and patient as far as listening is concerned. Putting my views in front of others without hurting the other person is what Sudarshan says. Yeah, and then the choice of words. So everyone has a right to speak. We need to understand. That's what Kiran says. So definitely, guys, this is a lot. Thanks a lot for your insights and. We all know that it's easier said than done, isn't it? We all know that it's an easier said than done, but this is the underlying facts of assertiveness that you've already shared with us here, showing confidence. Very correct. So exactly. Now, what I have got for you as far as the difference between being assertive and aggressive is concerned is one basic discriminate or differentiation. All right. One basic differentiation that I've got for you here would be when we agree to disagree, we honor the relationship about trying to change a person. That's one thing. So this is what I mean. When you're aggressive, you disagree to disagree. And when you're assertive, you agree to disagree. Right? So the aggressive person would just disagree because he doesn't care. He feels that, okay, this is what I disagree with, and this is something which I don't care, and this is something which needs to be done. I want to have it at any other cost. So it's more of a bully kind of person. So when we say aggressive, yeah, definitely he's more into bullying or kind of a short-tempered, impatient person who doesn't mind being alienated, who doesn't mind being alienated by others. So this is the biggest risk that an aggressive person would undertake. This risk is of being feeling alienated from the other person, losing trust and respect in the eyes of others. So this is an aggressive person, whereas an assertive person would agree to disagree with utmost respect, complete trust on the other party's behavior and views and points as well. So this is exactly what you said, guys, and it comes with a lot of undertone there. So a lot of things that we need to keep in control when we are talking about being assertive, and it's about definitely I think, I feel, I believe, and I want. So it's more about I. So again, coming back to the difference between being aggressive and assertive, when you're talking about an I factor here, it's about owning yourself. Okay, this is more about owning yourself in terms of this is what I think, I feel, I believe, and I want, and you do it in an unapologetic manner where you don't feel sorry about it. All right, for whatever reasons, so let me come back to you. Yeah, so we're talking about this. So this is kind of at the outset this might seem to be like a self-centered approach. Is it that we're trying telling you to become a bit self-centered? So no, Ashwini, I can replace with we, fine, but every time we cannot be on the same platform. It cannot be a we always, because if I'm saying this, for example, Ashwini, if you want me to do something, or right away you're really requesting me, you come to me and say, Sarika, please can you do this for me? And then I say, oh my god, I'm really already bogged down with this, I'm already having so much to do, I really do not have that kind of time for you. So this is really difficult, saying no, which is an important part of assertiveness, right? So Ashwini, I sympathize with you. I sympathize that you are under some kind of urgency and emergency and you want me to help you out. But then I'm already preoccupied with my own stuff. My hands are full and my bucket is full, and I'm already having so much to do that I really can't help you maybe at this moment. And that's the reason I need to say a no to you, right? And that's being assertive instead of um, kind of just kind of glamorizing it by saying that, oh yes, I'll do it for you. You'll find half of the people who are in good relation with you, Ashwini, saying that yes, I'll do it for you, and they won't do it. And if they don't do it, later you go back to them and you say, why did you do it? And they say, oh my god, I was so busy with this. I was so busy, I was already occupied with this and that and that, and that's the reason I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. They'll say sorry to you, but I don't know how much they would mean about it, right? So they would sympathize, but not necessarily empathize. So instead of coming into this kind of situation, it's better that an assertive person right at the outset says, I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to do it. Now, on this point, if I may ask you guys, if I may ask you that we all know that our ability to say no without feeling sorry, without feeling guilty, I'm not saying without feeling shameless, Okay, I'm not saying that, but yeah, I mean, you're already under some kind of burden and you can't really just say yes to an unwanted demand or a request which you really cannot fulfill at the moment. If I may ask you guys, give me 3 steps. Give me 3 steps or 3 sentences in which you can say no in an assertive manner, which you can refuse doing something for someone, though you feel a lot, you empathize a lot, but then you need to say yes. How can you do it in 3 simple steps? Your ability to stand up for yourself is the biggest part, the most difficult part of being assertive. How would you do it in 3 steps? I don't know if we could unmute you guys because there's a lot of commotion and background noise there. So I would request you to please type it in the chat box. I know it takes a lot of efforts, guys, but if you could do that in 3 steps, 3 quick steps. I can see a lot of hand raises. Sapyasachi, if you could just put it in your chat box, I would just request you to do that. Maybe, last 10 minutes, we'll kind of unmute you people and then you can have your voice. Smile and say no. Pavitra says, okay, smile and say no. Okay, see to it that it's not a sarcastic smile though. Okay, it needs to be a... Kavita says, I don't think it would add value to the process, hence I do not think we should pursue this. Okay, it's a nice assertive way of saying this. Wonderful, Kavita. Okay, okay. So
I
guys,
would say, I will look into it later.
do it later. Yes. So this is one more option that we give to the other person. You would say, and not later. Okay. Mind you, we give them a clear and concise time on which we would be able to do it. So I'll do it later. I'll do it next week. I'll do it at the weekend. No. Say no with a reason. Give an alternative. Redirect to someone who could help. Perfect. Perfect. Sapna Bhargava wonderfully put it. So we say it, we'll do it later, but instead of that, we give it a concise time and we say precisely that I'll do it before the EOD or before end of today or before I go on a lunch break or something like that, which makes it sound very genuine and authentic. And that's what would be being assertive here. So guys, this is what is very important. And even if it's an urgent and important, guys, if you want to say no, no, you will have to say no. Instead of kind of mincing your words with something else, and if it's your boss, if a lot is at stake, and if you can really, really kind of adjust and accommodate yourself and kind of bring a compromise and make it a win-win situation, wonderful. You can do it with a lot of creativity, innovation, and it would require a lot of permutation and combination statistically to be done then and there. So if you're fast and quick enough to do it, just do it. That would be wonderful. But then the whole idea is just do not overcome it. Just to not overcome it instead of saying a no there. That really wouldn't take you anywhere. So this is one idea when I was saying, I think, I feel, I believe, I want, just I'm completely in control of myself. I'm not giving my charge to anyone else by blaming someone else for my failures or by accusing others, by condemning, criticizing, or getting into any kind of backbiting or bad mouthing, because that doesn't help. Right. So I take complete charge of what I do. And that's what is the I statement all about. So this is one technique of being assertive always. Now, though we know that there is, it's really, really important to be assertive and that there are a lot of barriers. So just now we saw that if you want to say no to someone, it comes with a lot of a burden. It comes with a lot of barriers. So what could be, guys, what could be the barriers, again, if it comes from your mouth? Though we all know, but we are still attending this session today, which shows that it's not easy to be assertive, and we would want to know more and more about it. Before we get to know more about it, what could be the barriers in being assertive? Any barriers?
Um,
Yes, please.
yes, Sabyasachi here. The barriers could be, prolifically meeting or empathizing with the listener who would be actually, confronted with the fact of saying a negation, would be confronted with some negation, and that would actually hurt his feelings or it actually hurt his request. In a way, it would be conflicting for both of us.
Exactly, exactly. So, Ashutosh, it comes down to feelings here. We may feel hurt, we may take it personal, we might find rude, we may feel cornered, we may, while we are trying to express ourselves in a very assertive manner, we have this kind of fear of being ridiculed, punished, sidetracked, cornered, friend zone. This is the Generation Z term which they use. He friend zoned me. So when my teenage daughter came and told me, "Mama, he friend zoned me," I said, "What is this?" So friend zone where people are trying to ignore you, or maybe the FOMO thing. I don't know how many of you are in social media. This is one test that I would want you all to take after this session today. Guys, if you're on social media, how much prominent are you there? It's not just about followers. It's not just about following others. It's about making your presence felt by saying and expressing something in a very assertive manner. So how many times do you actually comment on some kind of issue, or kind of place your points there, or share your insights with others on social media? Now, why I'm saying social media, because a lot of stakeholders who are there. And if you have been thinking, okay, ये post करूँ नहीं करूँ, ये comment डालूँ नहीं डालूँ, ये करूँगा तो कैसे लगेगा, अच्छा मैंने ये डाल दिया, अब देखूँ कितने likes आए, देखो कितने लोगों ने troll किया. So if you have been into all this kind of vicious, this is a vicious cycle, guys, right? So you need to be really very, very alert and mindful about being assertive. So I would encourage you people to be very, very active on your social media. Just don't be mute followers, and then just to keep on checking how many followers he has, I have, or whatever. So particularly in your professional capacities, all of you, I encourage you to be vocal and visible in order to make a difference and make your presence felt. I would say that is the epitome of being assertive, because that's how the whole world is watching you, looking at you, kind of making, you're creating your brand image out there. So I don't know how many of you are comfortable. Okay, some of you might be least interested, least bothered. Fine, cool. But those who are interested in building relations professionally, scoring heights, expanding your businesses, building your networks, do it. Start doing it. That's the first step where you can learn and practice to be more and more assertive. So we were talking about, okay, Subhanshu says, I've discarded social media 2 years ago. Every side has its two coins, Subhanshu, positive and negative. So if you look at it positively, you might really get great gains. You've seen people going viral and making big businesses and money out of it. So definitely, definitely it would add value. I mean, if you can try and use it in a constructive, positive, creative, and assertive manner, believe me. All right, so coming back to this, we were talking about what are the blocks, and as we rightly pointed out, it comes to a lot many things. So these barriers I've just tried to quickly cover in three different aspects. One of the psychological blocks, so just now as we talked about the feelings or the fears of being ridiculed, cornered, or the FOMO thing, the fear of missing out on something very important, the fear of being mocked by people, or fear of being judged by people. So these are all fears and phobias which are at the back of our mind, which really do not exist, right? So these are the psychological blocks. Secondly, the environmental blocks. So just now, as I spoke about, your parents, teachers, stakeholders, bosses, these are a part of your environments. All right. Again, your environment also consists of the generation and the culture that you follow. So the cultural blocks and the generational blocks. So in our culture, we might have seen that girls have been taught in certain parts of our country where they cannot be really very vocal and visible, and that's not taken in a very positive way. And that's the reason they become more and more passive or then aggressive. So when emotions are bottled up, what happens is people turn hostile, because emotions can't be bottled up for a long, long time. So in this case, the environment suggests you that you need to behave in a particular manner, and that's where the culture comes into picture, the generation gaps come into picture. Now, when I'm talking about generations, I would just want to pinpoint one thing here. The Generation Z, which is called as the Gen Z, are really, really very, very smart and more assertive, much more assertive than the generation of millennials that we exist. All right. So if you have kids in your house who are now teenagers, you might want to observe them and how they are really very assertive, in what they want and what they're looking for. So we may want to learn a tip or here and there for them, and that really helps, because I believe that this generation is more about freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of expression, freedom of vocation, and everything. And that's the reason they're more expressive than us. Behavioral blocks, these are the basic behaviors that we do not really know how to be assertive. The way I should behave in order to be more and more assertive. So these are the skills basically that I'm going to take you through in my next few slides. So this makes me come to the most important part of our session. Very quickly, I'm going to take you to dealing with sensitive or conflict situation in a certain manner. Let's make a deliberate choice for a win-win. Now, how can we make this choice, guys? Three aspects that we need to choose. The first one is choose your emotions. So someone says something, I feel hurt. No, I choose to not feel hurt. That's a deliberate choice. Guys, when we are spending through overall our life in making so many choices, be it your education, the food that you want to eat, the clothes that you want to wear, the person that you want to get married, the vocation that you want to follow, we also need to learn to choose our emotions. That's something very, very basic but fundamental in emotional intelligence. So learn to do this. This would help you in being more assertive. Choice of words, someone already mentioned that in the chat box. We need to choose our words carefully. How can we do that? I'm going to show you just in my next slides. Choice of expressions. So everything boils down to emotions, which comes to the words, and then the actions which support our words in an expressive manner. So as I said, we need to make a deliberate choice. Let's understand what this choice is all about. Now I'm going to take you to the most prominent slide, which you might not or you would not find anywhere on the web, because this is something which I have specially curated for this batch today. Right, so this is about the choice of emotions without any filter. So as much as I want you to focus on your choice, I also want you to focus on these filters that we tend to unknowingly, subconsciously add, because ये filters का ज़माना है. So without any filters, which would make you completely authentic and genuine. So let us understand what are these choices. This is a list of questions that I would want you to ask yourself in a rhetorical manner and figure out your own answers. So the first is disagree to someone without being rude. So this without being rude is a filter, all right, which I need to really be very conscious about. So when I disagree to someone without being rude, can I do that? All right. Can I listen to contradictory views without being judgmental? Can I focus on the facts without being opinionated? Can I come up with new ideas without the fear of being ridiculed for my new ideas? Can I say no to an unacceptable demand without feeling guilty about it? Can I ask for help or support without feeling incompetent? Can I ask for clarifications without feeling dumb about it? Can I admit my faults without playing the blame game? And can I state my rights and needs without being selfish? Can I give criticism to others without insulting them? Can I accept criticism by others without being resentful about it? Can I laugh at myself without compromising on my self-worth? Can I express a different view without getting into any kind of comparisons? Can I apologize sincerely and publicly without feeling ashamed of it? Guys, this is a big one. Believe me, this is a big one. I don't know how many of us are able to do this. Apologize sincerely, publicly for our mistakes without feeling ashamed. Can I congratulate or compliment others on their wins without feeling jealous? I own my own successes and failures without getting into the victim or the victor mode. So if I'm in the victim mode, I would always blame my failure to someone else. कुछ नहीं तो नसीब पे, मेरा नसीब ही खराब है. So that kind of thing. Do we do it? So if we are able to do all these things without these filters, believe me, we will be the epitome of an assertive person. So these are the few things that I would want your attention on, and then the choice of words. When we choose words, we do it in two ways. One, having a positive inner dialogue with our own selves, where I keep on giving a reminder to myself that, my feelings are valid and I'm worthy of it. So these are the self-affirmations that we need to continuously keep on giving ourselves to have that kind of confidence and conviction that we're looking for. And then the outer dialogue that we have with our stakeholders. Now, when we have an outer dialogue, what kind of words that I choose to use? Remember, if I tell you now, if I'm using this word, if I'm using a sentence like, I want to do this. Simple sentence. Now remember, with every different word that I choose to use, the meaning and the kind of message that I want to share changes. So I want to do this. I have to do this. I must do this. I should do this. I can do this. I ought to do this. I will do this. I need to do this. And I better do this. So you see that I have used 9 to 10 different modal verbs, and those are words which are giving clear message about what actually I want to do. Remember, so it's about words. It's about words. It's about the choice of words which are giving an exact message to the other person of being, whether I'm being aggressive, assertive, or passive. So here we're talking about the choice of words. What we can do is choose a ladder. Express yourself in a confident way where you can choose a ladder. This is a kind of a mnemonic framework which gives us an idea about how we can express ourselves in a confident manner. So look at your rights. In every situation, every relation, you have certain rights. If nothing else, you have the right to be respected, right to be heard, and right to be safe. This is our biggest right, particularly post the pandemic, right to be safe. And that's the reason you're working from home. So these are certain basic rights that you have in any given situation, and you need to look for them. Arrange for a meeting with the stakeholder, because every time, as I said, you might not, it might not be the right time to be assertive. So you might want to choose a particular time and arrange a meeting with the stakeholder to express yourself. Define the problem by being factual. So focus on the facts, not on the opinions. Focus on the solutions and not definitely the problem. So define the problem in a factual manner. Describe how you feel about this particular problem, and that's where the I statements come into picture. So I feel this, you behave in this manner, because of which I feel this, or I feel in this manner. So this is the feeling which is very important that you need to describe to connect on an empathetic note. Express what you want out of it. Otherwise, the stakeholder would be confused what exactly do you expect him to do. So express what you want from the other person, and then come down to reinforcing the mutual benefits which would accrue out of this conversation. So you need to be very confident when you're expressing yourself with this ladder to be successful for your overall well-being, whether in your personal or professional life. So this is how we do it. I have few examples here when you can learn to agree to disagree in a particular format with the use of particular phrases here for you. I agree with you on how you feel about this. However, let me explain it further. You're quite right about this. Let's not forget though. Certainly you're entitled to your opinion, though I'd interpret it in this way. See the choice of words, guys. See the words that I've been using here. Quite right. Certainly. Okay. However, though, these are the words that I'm using here. You're right on the spot. However, as this is not in my control, what I can do is, so focusing on the locus of control here. I respect your views on this. I beg to differ on this, however. So respect, but beg to differ. So these are the kind of words. This is all about a word play and choosing your words mindfully in order to sound and behave in an assertive manner. Last but not the least, the choice of expressions with a softened approach. I'm going to give you a very, very, kind of soft and firm approach while dealing with being assertive, because we all know that actions speak louder than words. So let us understand the softened approach with this acronym S, smile, even if you do not agree. So this is most of these things you've already covered in the chat box in the beginning of the session. Remember, we're talking about using this body language, particularly when we are into disagreement. And this is not easy because your body will leak out signals. Your body will stop smiling when you're into disagreement, right? And that's where the body leakages come into picture. You need to be really, really very careful about these leakages. So you need to smile, and you need to do it on purpose. And as I said, not in a sarcastic manner, because that doesn't serve the purpose. O stands with open postures, which shows that you're open and receptive to new ideas, opposing views and opinions. So these body postures with your open arms and kind of open neck movements and the open postures, which give a lot of idea about your open and receptive nature. Forward lean, which gives a complete idea about how attentive you are to others, even if you don't agree to them. It's also a sign of respect. We could just lean a bit forward to show respect even to contradictory views. It's not easy. T is a tone of voice, which someone already mentioned here, and believe me, this is the toughest one to crack. If you ask me, with my family and friends, they know it well that I'm more of an aggressive person, more on the assertive side. The only part in assertiveness where I really struggle hard is the tone of my voice, because I have a kind of a voice which is more not harsh, but kind of a firm and strong voice, which might kind of sound opinionated at times. So this is one, one area where we really, really need to struggle when we are in disagreements. A soft but firm tone of voice is the catch here. E is the eye contact. Eye contact again with complete respect and without glaring or staring at a person who is, who's not agreeing to you. And last but not the least, nod of your head. Now imagine, guys, how much difficult it is to nod at a person when you are in disagreement with him. So these are the choices of expressions that you will have to practice in order to positively come across as an assertive person. As I said, this is easier said than done. So this is it. Hone it to own it, guys. You need to practice it hard. Don't fake it till you make it, but own it while you're honing it. You need to really do it, practice it on a regular basis in order to, be more and more assertive. With this, my PowerPoint slides are over, but I'm sure there's a lot to share and discuss. And now it's over to you. These are the question answer times. I have given you three options, three choices that we need to make deliberately, which I would want to sum up my side of the presentation. This was about, just a quick recap, choice of your words, and before that, choice of your emotions, which is the most difficult part, which is about emotional intelligence, choice of your emotions, choice of the words, and choice of your expressions. These three things which you need to choose in a proper format. How we can do it would require a lot of practice, which we can have in our sessions with Vinsys on power of building assertiveness. Now, we do a lot of activities and games and role plays in which we try and make you practice on that platform, wherein you are given a kind of a hands-on experience on how can we be more and more assertive individually as well as collectively, in our personal as well as professional roles. So these are the things, and this is something which I had to present from my side. Now over to you, my wonderful audience. If you want to ask something, just shoot. Okay. The ladder concept, Pavitra. Okay, so the ladder concept is, of course, first of all, letting your emotions speak, arranging for a meeting, the right time. All right, describe what you want very correctly and very properly. You want to describe that, okay, this is, see, look, you told me that you will do this. You committed this to me. However, you did not do. Now, I feel betrayed. I feel really, really sad about this. Now, what I want you to do is next time, if you're not able to do it, please do not commit. So I'm talking about what I want. I want clearly, I'm giving it as a warning maybe. This is called as an escalated assertion. You're trying to escalate it and trying to make it very clear that next time don't do it. If you're not able to take it up, please do not commit. You said you will call me back in 5 minutes. Now it's more than 15 minutes I have been waiting for your call. This really, really makes me feel very annoyed. Next time, if you're not able to, follow your commitment, please don't get into this. So you're making it very clear, and that's the ladder. Define what you want very clearly, and that's something, and try and make it a win-win. Try and make it a win-win. How does assertiveness is conveyed in text messages, mails, and phone? Very good question. Okay, this is very, very, again, boiling down to the basics, which is about choice of words. So if you're talking about emails or official correspondence or texting it on a WhatsApp, you see to it that you choose your words very, very firmly. All right, you choose the words very carefully while taking and empathizing with the other person into account as well. All right, so words is the only option while you're texting, and of course emoticons. Of course, in your official correspondence you might not be able to use a lot of emoticons. I do kind of subscribe to smileys and exclamation at times. Not many question marks though, but a smiley here and there is fine, which shows your emotions there and it sets the tone. Again, the choice of words, the way you use the words, looking forward to at the end of a mail, which always shows that I'm looking forward to something, gives a very nice complimentary close at the end of your emails. You can do that. Even, of course, on WhatsApping and messaging, you can use a lot of emoticons to express what you want. So that is something which you can do. Can you please share the presentation? Okay, I'll have to ask it to my team, though it's my presentation, but if my team allows, I can do that. What could be the environmental constraints in being assertive? Our environment in which we live, we work. All right. So this environment could be anything and everything from our from the people that we are surrounded by. Most of the times we tend to follow them. They have an impact on our mind, believe me. So the people that we are friendly with, or we have done friendship with, or your followers on Instagram, or the people you are following on your social handles, they definitely have an impact. That's something which is building on your environment. Again, your organization culture, rules, policies, procedures, systems, everything forms an environment for you. And everything has an impact on the way you work for your company with your team. And that's definitely forming an environment. So be very careful about the kind of environment that you're living and working in, because that's surely having an impact on you directly or maybe indirectly also. Why is it so difficult to be assertive, Sunil? We've already seen the barriers, the psychological blocks, the environmental blocks, and the behavioral blocks. These are the three types of blocks because of which we find it so difficult to assertive. For Indians, particularly, Sunil, we value our relationships a lot. We are relationship focused people, and we see to it that we don't hurt others by being aggressive or assertive. Sometimes we feel that by being assertive, we are being selfish or self-centered. We are not catering to the other people's demands, and that's where the gap is. Now you need to bridge the gap. You being assertive need to tell him, I'm really feeling sorry about this. I'm really sorry. Next time I'll try to do it at my best levels. But this time, please excuse me. I really can't help. So it's really better than kind of being being overcommitted or trying to fool someone around you or trying to beat around the bush. It's not going to help in the long run. So that's why I say, if you want to have long lasting and trustworthy relationships in your office or at your home, you need to learn to be assertive, more and more assertive. Okay, so Chitali says how to tackle a situation where next person not in condition to listen, though you are correct, was to handle. So as I said, if someone is really heated up, that's definitely not the right time to practice assertiveness. Now, if that relation that someone is very close to you, if it's your stakeholder, I like to use the word stakeholder, which means a lot is at stake. Lot is at stake. Now, you don't want to disturb your relationships because that's going to disturb your peace of mind also. So if that is at stake, then it's better to buy some more time. After some time, he's definitely going to cool down. If he's going to think from the other perspective, he's mature enough, close enough to you, if he knows you well, he'll always think from your perspective also, maybe not at that time. So that is the time where you need to buy some time and you tell him that, okay, I don't think this is the right time. You're not in the right frame of mind to listen to me. Let's talk sometime later. All right, but do talk to him later. Do talk to him later. If you don't do it, then you'll go into the passive zone. I don't want to go in the passive zone. So talk to him later, buy some time and do it at the right time, because that timing, because communication, as I said, timing is very important. So you buy some time, not a long time enough where everything is forgotten. You don't want people to forget that. You want to keep them keep them in the loop, and some time would do the needful. All right. I can see a lot of hand raised there. Uh, can being assertive be negative, Sunil? No, no, definitely not. In fact, assertiveness is being very, very positive. It might seem negative at that given moment. So when you say no to someone, that might seem negative. But in the long run, the person will definitely understand the benefits out of it. So it's certainly not negative in the long run. Yes, thank you, Chitali. Thank you for being so participative. Okay. Uh, yes, thanks, Sunil. So, guys, anyone would want to unmute, or if we may allow, I don't know, Team Vinsys, if we may allow people to unmute and say something,
Yes, of course.
we have last 5 minutes to do that. And I'm being assertive about it. Thanks, Lavkesh. My pleasure. My pleasure, Ashutosh. I hope you've got, after, in this 1 hour session, even if you've got one or two things, 2 3 things which really appeal to you, which make an impact on you, and which you felt that, okay, this is something which I need to work on, this is going to help me, I would be more than glad. Yes, thanks, Mangesh. Thanks, Sachin, Pavan, Nejas, Ashutosh, Vedansh. Okay, nice name, Vedansh. Thank you so much. Akansha, okay, great points, ma'am. Yeah, thanks, Srikanth. Thanks, Pavitra.
Thank you
Yes,
so much,
thank you.
Sarika.
Yeah,
So thank you so much everyone for joining this webinar. I hope everyone has some takeaways since this was just an hour of a webinar. So if you would like to have more webinars like this, please write back to us. And every month we are making sure that we are organize at least one webinar on soft skills. And if you have some topics in mind that we want that you want us to dedicate for your team or for your company, please let us know. Just visit our website. There is a page for Vinsys webinars where you can do your registrations, and you can participate in the future webinars as well. And if you have any training requirement, you can just go to our website, fill in the form, and let us know. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much, Sarika. It was a wonderful webinar. I was there in and out, but I personally received many insights from it. And I'm looking forward to have more and more webinars with you. Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much. Thanks. The pleasure was all mine. You've been wonderful, all of you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening and stay safe, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sarika.
Most
Thanks,
welcome.
Vinsys, and thanks, Sarika.
Uh,
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
everybody. Stay safe, everybody. Bye bye.
Yes. Yes. All the
Bye bye.
best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
So now I'm going to end this meeting. Thank you. Bye bye.